Hi, Horror Recapped here. Today, I am going to be covering a 20th century American thriller film, The Game. Spoilers incoming. Beware and stay safe. The movie starts with Nicholas Van Orton, who is a banker and a very rich man. He is going to the office from his mansion. It is his birthday and he does not seem excited about it. Nicholas has been divorced and lives alone in his house. Only maids come to his house to do house chores. In the office, his secretary tells him that there is someone who wants to have lunch with him. Nicholas knows that the person who wants to have lunch with him is his younger brother, Conrad Van Orton. Nicholas meets with Conrad in a restaurant. Conrad wishes him a happy birthday and gives him a present. The present is a CRS voucher. CRS is an entertainment providing company. Nicholas has a boring routine and is traumatized by his father's death. In addition to that, he has recently gotten divorced and is in need of some entertainment in his life. Therefore, Conrad gives him this voucher. Conrad has taken these services and his life has changed positively. Nicholas comes back home and receives a call from his ex-wife. She wishes him a happy birthday. After the call ends, he gets a flashback to his childhood. We learn about the suicide of his father. His father committed suicide on the day of his birthday, the age of 48, when Nicholas was a child. This is the reason why he does not celebrate his birthday. The next day, he goes for a meeting, and coincidentally, it is in the same building where CRS Company has its office. So, he visits the CRS office on the 14th floor and shows the voucher to them. There, he meets Jim. Jim tells him about the game, then gives him some forms to fill out and did some physical tests on Nicholas. Then by the next day, Nicholas goes to a club. There, he notices some people talking about CRS. Nicholas asks them about the CRS game, but they do not reveal anything, except a Bible verse of John chapter 9 verse 25. Nicholas is in a meeting when he receives a call from CRS. They inform him that he has been rejected from CRS because he has failed the test. When Nicholas gets back to his house, he finds a man lying in front of his house and gets a flashback of when his father had committed suicide. He finds out that it is not a person but a clown. He takes the clown with him inside the house. It is holding a key. While he is checking the clown, the anchor on the TV talks to him and says, "You have received your first key and you will receive many more. This is your game. Keep that key. You may need these keys anytime, anywhere." Nicholas asks the anchor, "Can you see me?" The anchor responds that there is a camera that is observing him right now. He traces where the camera is coming from and it points him to the eye of the clown. The next day, Nicholas is at the airport as he waits for his flight. The person next to him coughs and then leaves his newspaper along with the miniature-sized clown. Nicholas recognizes it and leans forward when a mother goes by and picks it up. The man sitting in front of Nicholas stares at him and points to the ink mark on his shirt. It looks like blood. Nicholas has just about had it with his partner of his business and wants to part ways, so he meets up with him with some legal papers. The papers are in the briefcase, but the briefcase is locked and does not open up. Nicholas uses the key, but even with that key, the briefcase does not open up. He lashes out on his suitcase and then returns home. In this scene, both brothers were supposed to have dinner together, but Conrad does not come for dinner. A waitress runs into Nicholas and splashes wine all over him. The manager fires that waitress on the spot. He sits at the other table and a waiter puts a note on the table. Nicholas goes to that waitress, who is going home, and asks her if she has something for him. He tells her that he has a note and, in that note, it is written that he should not let her go. A man collapses on the road and the waitress, named Christine, asks Nicholas to call for help. He stops the cops who are passing nearby and the cops call the ambulance. The ambulance takes that man to a hospital and to fill some forms. Nicholas and Christine have to go with that man. They reach the hospital and the power shuts off. Suddenly, everybody disappears except Nicholas and Christine. He informs her that it is a game and Christine becomes furious knowing that the person who turned blue was acting. Now Christine tries to get out of that place and he follows her. They are at an underground parking lot, but there are no lights because the power is out. An elevator door opens and they go inside, but it does not work, and then Nicholas uses the key. It worked. But then, the elevator stops and they exit through the emergency door towards the second floor. Nicholas left his briefcase in the lift. He sees that it is the office of CRS. As they walk, they trip the alarm. He tells Christine to wait for the police and they will explain everything to the police, but Christine says that the police would not believe them and she starts running. He follows her. Police arrive there. Nicholas and Christine run and enter a building to save themselves from the police. They are on the first floor of that building and Christine jumps from the first floor into the dumpster. He also jumps. Then both of them head to Nicholas' office and he books a cab for Christine. Christine confesses and tells him that someone has given her $400 to pour wine on his shirt. After sending her off, he heads back house. The next day, Nicholas' secretary calls him and tells him that his American Express card is in a hotel where someone has booked a room in his name. He goes into that hotel room and sees that it is a total mess. In the room, he finds his shirts, his signed bill, and his briefcase. In the briefcase, he finds inappropriate photos, and on the table, there are drugs. A room service lady nearly comes in but he blocked her out. He then goes into the bathroom to throw the drugs. The glass breaks and he gets a cut on his hand. While returning from the hotel, he sees that someone is following him. He speeds up and drives into a dead end. Someone pulls up. He appears next to him and asks him why he is following him. The person flips over a picture of Nicholas while his gun gets snatched. He doesn't think the game uses real bullets so he fires it. Turns out it's real. The person jumps out of the car and tells him that he is a private detective and he was hired to follow Nicholas. Just after saying this, the private detective runs away. He calls his lawyer and goes to the partner who he fired from his company. He thinks that everything that is happening because of him. But that is not the case and he apologizes for suspecting him. When Nicholas reaches home, he finds that the lock is broken. Someone broke in and vandalized his home with graffiti. He calls the police and tells them about this situation. The officer asks him if he is sure that the person who has done this is not in the house. He gets freaked out. Conrad comes and tells Nicholas that they should move out immediately. While they are in the car, Conrad tells Nicholas that CRS is also behind him and they are not letting him quit the game. He says, "I have given them money but they do not leave me. I gave them more to make them stop." One of the tires of the car gets punctured and Conrad assumes that it is also because of CRS. He heads to the trunk to find the spare tire to change it with the punctured one. Conrad opens the glove compartment and a bunch of CRS keys drop to the floor. Conrad runs away from Nicholas after knowing he is involved with the CRS and they have an argument. Conrad eventually gets away. He takes a taxi to go home but the taxi driver takes him somewhere else and jumps out of the running taxi. The taxi goes into water and he opens the window using the lever that CRS has sent him before. The next day he goes to the CRS office with the police and his lawyer but the floor that CRS was on was still in construction. They looked in previous companies they rented out to before but there was no CRS that has rented that area in the past. Nicholas gets back home and receives a call over dinner. He now has the address of Christine's house. He goes to her house and asks her if he could talk to her. Christine asks him to wait as she goes to change her clothes. While waiting, Nicholas looks around the house and finds out that it is a fake house because the price tag is still on the lamp, the fridge is empty, the books are all fake, and the drawers are all empty. Christine comes and says, "They are watching us." Christine shows him the camera and the smoke detector from which CRS is keeping an eye on them. He looks into the camera and angrily says, "Come in front of me," and he breaks the camera. Then he looks through the window and sees CRS people coming towards Christine's house. CRS shoots at them but they get away. Then he kicks her out of the car but she says that no one else could help him. So, he lets her back in the car. Then she tells him that CRS hacks the bank accounts of its victims. CRS has taken the information from his brother and from those forms that Nicholas has filled out at the beginning of the game. Then, he calls his bank and gives the password. The bank informs him that there is no money in his bank account. Nicholas informs his lawyer and asks him to bring the police to the farmhouse. At the farmhouse, Christine makes coffee for Nicholas. He receives a call from his lawyer that no money has been withdrawn from his account. Christine says that the lawyer is also involved with the CRS. He feels sleepy because Christine mixed sleeping pills in his coffee. Now, when he is about to fall asleep, Christine tells him that they had all the information except for the bank password but now they have that too. She leaves the farmhouse. When he gets his senses back, he sees that he is in a box and when moves out of that box, he is a graveyard outside his country. He goes to the American embassy and asks for help but they do not believe what he is saying. He sells his father's watch, gets a ride to San Francisco for $18.78 after asking in a diner and was able to get home. He breaks into his home and takes a shower. He takes money from his house and goes to meet his ex-wife and borrows her car. During this, he sees a person on TV in an ad. He is the same person who took his information at the start of the game. Now, Nicholas knows that he is an actor and found where he is. He threatens that actor at gunpoint and asks him about CRS. He takes him to the CRS office and there he sees many CRS actors. Christine is also in the office. He discovers that whoever he has come across was an actor, even the police and private detective. He takes Christine as hostage when the CRS guards came. A chef drops a tray of water and Christine escapes. The CRS guards start firing. He takes Christine to the roof and asks her about the game. He says he wants to meet her boss. Christine tells him that it is all a part of the game and that Conrad is also here. Some people try to open the door. Nicholas points the gun towards the door. As soon as the door opens, Nicholas shoots. Conrad gets shot and falls to the ground. He was coming towards Nicholas to surprise him and wish him a happy birthday. The actor says Conrad is dead. He cries and jumps off. Instead of falling into his death, he falls into an airbag. There he sees all his friends and family members, and there comes Conrad. Conrad says happy birthday, Nicky. He is shocked and cries out of joy because Conrad is alive. He goes out and finds Christine. He asks her for her real name and she said Claire. She will be going to Australia for another gig, where they find someone just like him and the whole cycle repeats all over again. Subscribe for more videos like this one. Turn on notifications. Leave a like to help the channel out. Comment down what you think about this mysterious story.